Welcome to the Resource Allocation Decision Tool, help Video 2.5. My name is Haines. This video focuses on the fifth key to success in using research evidence to influence resource allocation decision making. That key is to consider the comparison group and context. In our previous help video, we learned about standardized effect sizes. So, in the Resource Allocation Decision Tool, why did we not just ask you to say whether there was a small, medium or large standardized effect size? Instead, we asked you to rate the options as being highly effective, somewhat effective, not effective, or harmful. There are 4 reasons. First, there are not widely accepted effect sizes for the ratio-based effect sizes. Second, there are other important ways of expressing the effectiveness of interventions. Third, the interpretation of an effect size requires further understanding of the context of the field. For example, in public health, interventions that look like mass media advertising campaigns may not need to have a very large effect size in order to still be very beneficial. This is because of the massive reach of interventions like this and their capacity to impact on a large number of people in the community. So a very, very small effect size in such an intervention could still be very beneficial. The fourth reason is that the control and comparison condition can have a very large impact on the standardized effect size being reported. Let's examine this in a little bit more detail. Let's consider the example of providing group therapy or individual counselling to reduce symptoms of depression in depressed adults after 6 months. We're going to focus on 2 hypothetical studies, one of each intervention compared to a usual care control condition. Here we see the results of our 2 hypothetical studies. If we reflect on these results, we see that the group therapy is not significantly different from the control group in that study, and the effect estimate is quite small compared to the effect estimate in the individual counselling study, which was significantly more beneficial than the control condition. But what if I told you that usual care in the group therapy study was intensive weekly meetings with their general practitioner, and that usual care in the individual counselling study was no intervention at all? Further consideration of this contextual factor makes us think that the group therapy intervention may actually be just as effective as the individual counselling intervention, because the group therapy's comparison group had an intervention that looked very, very similar to individual counselling, whereas the individual counselling study had a no intervention control, which might make its results look much more optimistic. So, our fifth key to success is to always consider the importance of the comparison group and context. A control group that receives a very high quality of care will lead to a smaller effect size than a control group that receives a low quality of care. Small effect sizes in some contexts can be more important than in others. In the Resource Allocation Decision Tool, we ask you to rate how effective the intervention is in terms of being highly effective, somewhat effective, not effective, or harmful. To aid you in this assessment, a meta-analysis or single study of an intervention that generated a result where the point estimate and 95% confidence interval were very much centered on the null value would give you a strong indication that there was no effect of the intervention. If the effect favoured the control condition, then this would be harmful. If the effect instead was in favour of the intervention, then it would either be effective or highly effective, depending on your interpretation of the quality of the control group and understanding the context of the research area.